Welcome to Wonderslate. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates. Topic for today's quiz is Human Physiology. Question number 1. Gastric secretion is stopped by hormone. Option A. Enterogastrine. Option B. Gastrin. Option C. Pancreasymin. Option D. Cholecystokinin. The correct answer is Option A. Enterogastrine. Enterogastrine secreted by the mucosa of duodenum slows gastric contractions and stops the secretion of gastric juice. Question number 2. Name the chronic respiratory disorder caused mainly by cigarette smoking. Option A. Emphysema. Option B. Asthma. Option C. Respiratory acidosis. Option D. Respiratory alkalosis. The correct answer is Option A. Emphysema. Cigarette smoking leads to emphysema. Emphysema. In people with emphysema, the air sacs in the lungs irreversibly are damaged. Question number 3. Which of the following joints would allow no movement? Option A. Cartilaginous joint. Option B. Synovial joint. Option C. Ball and socket joint. Option D. Fibrous joint. The correct answer is Option D. Fibrous joint. Fibrous joints are immovable joints where two bones are connected with the help of fibrous connective tissue. Question number 4. The partial pressure of oxygen in the alveoli of the lungs is Option A. Equal to that in the blood. Option B. More than that in the blood. Option C. Less than that in the blood. Option D. Less than that of carbon dioxide. The correct answer is Option B. More than that in the blood. A partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli of lungs is 104 mm of Hg, that is more than that of blood in the pulmonary artery 40 mm of Hg. Question number 5. A chemical signal that has both endocrine and neural roles is Option A. Melatonin. Option B. Calcitonin. Option C. Epinephrine. Option D. Cortisol. The correct answer is Option C. Epinephrine. Epinephrine secreted from the medulla of adrenal gland acts as both an endocrine hormone and as a neurotransmitter, produced at the ends of sympathetic nerve fibers. Question number 6. The binding of oxygen with hemoglobin tends to displace carbon dioxide from the blood. This phenomenon is known as Option A. Bohr effect. Option B. Hamburger's phenomenon. Option C. Haldane effect. Option D. Oxygen dissociation curve. The correct answer is Option C. Haldane effect. The Haldane effect is a property of hemoglobin. Oxygenation of blood in the lungs displaces carbon dioxide from hemoglobin, which increases the removal of carbon dioxide. This property is the Haldane effect. Consequently, oxygenated blood has a reduced affinity for carbon dioxide. Question number 7. Axis vertebra is identified by Option A. Odontoid process. Option B. Centrum. Option C. Deltoid ridge. Option D. Sigmoid notch. The correct answer is Option A. Odontoid process. Axis vertebra is identified by the odontoid process. The odontoid process, also dense or odontoid peg, is a protuberance, process or projection, of the axis, second cervical vertebra. It exhibits a slight constriction or neck, where it joins the main body of the vertebra. Question number 8. When 2 to 3 drops of Benedict's reagent are added to a urine sample and heated gently, it turns yellow. This color change indicates that Option A. Urine contains 0.5% glucose. Option B. Urine contains 2% glucose. Option C. Urine contains 1% glucose. Option D. Urine contains 1.5% glucose. The correct answer is Option C. Urine contains 1% glucose. The color of the solution after performing Benedict's test represents the amount of glucose present in the given solution. If the solution turns green, it indicates the presence of 0.1 to 0.5% glucose. If the solution turns yellow, it indicates the presence of 0.5 to 1% glucose. If the solution turns orange, it indicates the presence of 1 to 1.5% glucose. If the solution turns red, it indicates the presence of 1.5 to 2% glucose. If the solution has more than 2% of glucose, then the solution shows brick red precipitate, so as the yellow color can show a maximum of 1% glucose. Question number 9. Which of the following are proteolytic enzymes? Option A. Tyline, trypsin, pepsin. Option B. Pepsin, nuclease, nucleotidase. Option C. Erepsin, trypsin, pepsin. Option D. Lipase, erepsin, trypsin. The correct answer is option C. Erepsin, trypsin, pepsin. Trypsin is a serine protease produced in the pancreas. It catalyzes the hydrolysis of peptide bonds, breaking down into smaller peptides. Erepsin is a protein found in intestinal juices and contains the group of enzymes that digest peptones into amino acids. Pepsin is an enzyme present in the stomach. It degrades food proteins into peptides. Question number 10. In the gastrointestinal tract, the Meissner's plexus and the Auerbach's plexus occur respectively in the option A. Submucosa and mucosa. Option B. Mucosa and muscularis externa. Option C. Lamina propria and muscularis mucosa. Option D. Submucosa and muscularis externa. The correct answer is option D. Submucosa and muscularis externa. Meissner's plexus lies in the submucosa of the intestinal wall, while Auerbach's plexus is located between the inner circular and outer longitudinal layers of the muscularis externa. Question number 11. Which sphincter guards the opening between the esophagus and stomach? Option A. Gastroesophageal sphincter. Option B. Pyloric sphincter. Option C. Cardiac sphincter. Option D. Sphincter of OD. The correct answer is option A. Gastroesophageal sphincter. Question number 12. Distal convoluted tubule is lined by option A. Transitional epithelial cell. Option B. Epithelial cells. Option C. Cuboidal cells. Option D. Ciliated cells. The correct answer is option C. Cuboidal cells. The distal convoluted tubule is lined by a simple cuboidal epithelium whose cells have several characteristic features. Unlike the proximal convoluted tubule, the apical end of each distal tubule cell does not have a brush border, although there may be scattered microvilli. Question number 13. Sesamoid bones are formed by the ossification of option A. Striated muscles. Option B. Cartilage. Option C. Smooth muscles. Option D. Ligaments or tendons. The correct answer is option D. Ligaments or tendons. Sesamoid bones are small independent bones or bony nodules developed in a tendon where it passes over an angular structure. It is found in the hands and feet. These rounded masses, which are embedded in certain tendons related to joint surfaces, functions to modify pressure, to diminish friction, and occasionally to alter the direction of a muscle pull. The sesamoid bones are the focal areas of ossification within the tendons. Question number 14. Acts as a shock absorber to cushion when tibia and femur came together is option A. Tendons. Option B. Cartilage. Option C. Ligaments. Option D. Disc. The correct answer is option C. Ligaments. Ligaments connect the two bones together and acts as a shock absorber to cushion when tibia and femur came together. Question number 15. A fall in glomerular filtration rate activates option A. A fall in glomerular filtration rate activates option B. Posterior pituitary to release vasopressin. Option C. Adrenal medulla to release adrenaline. Option D. Heart to release atrial natriuretic factor. The correct answer is option A. A fall in glomerular filtration rate activates. One of the effects of the sympathetic nervous system is to stimulate renin secretion by the juxtaglomerular cells, activating the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, RAAS. The RAS increases extracellular fluid volume by increasing sodium reabsorption, which is the fall in glomerular filtration rate. Question number 16. Which one is a bone of the skull? Option A. Atlas. Option B. Coracoid. Option C. Arula anoid. Option D. Pterygoid. The correct answer is option D. Pterygoid. The skull is composed of two sets of bones, cranial, 8, and facial bones, 14. Facial bones are 14 in number. They are inferior nasal concha, 2, lacrimal bones, 2, mandible, a maxilla, 2, nasal bones, 2, palatine bones, 2, vomer, zygomatic bones. The pterygoid is a paired bone forming part of the palate of many vertebrates, behind the palatine bones. In humans, it becomes the pterygoid process of the sphenoid bone. Hence, pterygoid is a bone of a skull. Question number 17. Which of the following structures are directly involved in the pulmonary circuit? Option A. Superior vena cava, right atrium and left ventricle. Option B. Right atrium, aorta and left ventricle. Option C. Left ventricle, aorta and inferior vena cava. Option D. Right ventricle, pulmonary arteries and left atrium. The correct answer is option D. Right ventricle, pulmonary arteries and left atrium. The pulmonary circulation is the portion of the circulatory system which carries deoxygenated blood away from the right ventricle to the lungs, and returns oxygenated blood to the left atrium and ventricle of the heart. Question number 18. For some reason our goblet cells are non-functional, then which of the following will be adversely affected? Option A. Production of somatostatin. Option B. Secretion of duocrinin. Option C. Smooth movement of food down the intestine. Option D. Production of secretin. The correct answer is option C. Smooth movement of food down the intestine. Goblet cells are something like a wine glass that present in the columnar epithelium of the mammalian intestine and secrete mucin, a mucoprotein that forms mucus when in solution. If goblet cells become non-functional, this will adversely affect the smooth movement of food down the intestine due to the absence of mucin. Question number 19. Which of the following causes an increase in sodium reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubule? Option A. Increase in antidiuretic hormone levels. Option B. Increase in aldosterone levels. Option C. Decrease in aldosterone level. Option D. Decrease in antidiuretic hormone levels. The correct answer is option B. Increase in aldosterone levels. Aldosterone of the adrenal cortex serves to stimulate renal absorption of sodium ions and water, thereby increasing the blood volume. Reduced aldosterone level increases sodium secretion by DCET. Antidiuretic hormone, ADH, is secreted by the posterior pituitary gland and targets nephrins to increase water reabsorption and thereby decreasing water content in urine. Question number 20. About 1000 milliliters of air left in the lungs is called as option A. Tidal volume. Option B. Inspired reserve volume. Option C. Residual volume. Option D. Expiratory reserve volume. The correct answer is option C. Residual volume. Residual volume, RV, is the volume of air that remains in the lungs after maximum forceful expiration. Thank you for watching the video. If you'd like practice this quiz, then download the Wonderslate app now. Link in the description below. If you have any suggestion for us, feel free to leave comments. If you liked the video and want to see more of it, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to click on subscribe button to get more updates of the future videos.